This is why MCLL plays such a big role for me, because with my life as it is so much in French, it really is a pleasure for me to participate in all the activities in English at MCLL. So this leads into really the reasons why I participate in MCLL. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I've been involved in MCLL and in MILR before it for now over 20 years. It's been a very big part of my retirement. It's allowed me to pursue new subjects. I get involved in a whole bunch of things that I never had a chance to do in my professional life. It's very, very different from my educational and work experience. I meet different kinds of people. I get much more involved in art, both visual and literature, something which I didn't do when I was younger and working. I was so concentrated on the technical aspect or the business aspects of it, I really wasn't involved. When I was in school, probably the subjects I enjoyed the less were history, art, things of that nature. Today, they're the subjects that interest me the most. I'm very interested in art. I travel a lot, visit museums quite a bit. I'm very interested in history. That's a natural when you travel to Europe, for example. And so I read a lot about history and try and understand things. And this leads into a better understanding of social issues as well. So it has an impact in understanding the world as it is when you go back into history. Another aspect really that I enjoy so much at MCLL is the contact with older generation. There are many participants who are in their 80s, some in their 90s, and who have lived situations that I haven't lived. They have a different perspective, if you wish. It's so interesting to see as I get older and I see people even older than myself, seniors, who stay really sharp, who are involved in a discussion and really understand things and bring forth very interesting points. So it's very heartening because as one gets older, and I'm in my 70s, and you look to say, well, I'm going to lose a little bit of my head there in time. It's nice to be able to stay sharp. One example, I guess, about interaction with people of another generation. When I first started at MCLL, I was quite young, if you wish. I was in my 50s, but I had taken early retirement, and I had decided not to pursue other work situations. I had a health problem, required an operation, and so it kind of slowed me down quite a bit. And I decided that I could afford not to work and to pursue other things, which is what I did. So I was a younger-faced person, if you wish, at MCLL, and I'll always remember meeting up with this one person. Her name was Badia Zakon. She was a Russian immigrant. She was a mathematics teacher, a very, very brilliant person. And she had this way of being very, very succinct. And she looked at me and says, "What are you doing here? I have sons. They're older than you and they're still working. Why are you still here? What are you doing?" Anyway, several years after that, but she said this in jest, it wasn't at all. So one time, several years after, I was taking a study group with her, and both of us were making presentations. She was making a presentation from a book, which she did very well, and I made a presentation which was a PowerPoint presentation with video and with images, all kinds of special things, if you wish. But both of them were good. And so I turned to Badia and I said, Badia, I'm now getting my Rang du Québec. I'm at that point where I can. She says, "Am I now legitimate here at MCLL?" And so she got a really good laugh at that particular point. So, my involvement with MCLL has really allowed me to meet very interesting people. That's a key thing, if you wish. People with experience from all over the world. Very different backgrounds than I've had, with a good ratio of professional women and professional men, which is interesting because in my career I had the opportunity to work with a lot of professional women, and I really enjoyed the different viewpoints that they had. And today I really enjoy the mixed conversation that we have with respect to subjects. Particularly that many of our members have traveled extensively and they have really a wide experience even today. This variety, if you wish, that we find at MCLL isn't available in other adult learning activities in Montreal. And I have participated in other adult learning activities in French because, as I said, there are certain things that I will do in French. And so what I've noticed is that the groups that I have participated in French are much more homogeneous. And they like it that way. Sometimes I heard it say, we prefer to talk to people like us. I've always been of the opinion that I prefer to talk to people who aren't like me because that allows me to learn. When I was forming committees in my professional life, I remember one of my colleagues said, no, we're not going to take that person in. He isn't quite like the others. He's going to have a different way of thinking. In my mind, having different people is something that's very, very valuable in committees. It allows you to not have any blind spots, so to speak. That's always been my point of view.